Shlomo came up to me and said, next time you come, he wants us to be in the midbar together.
Yeah.
So we can do the meditation. I'm not really such a meditative guy. I was listening to a podcast about this big guy in the music business, and he was saying that he's got to know himself over the years. Like he was behind Amy Winehouse, people like that, yeah?
Right.
And he was saying that if he tries to be something he isn't, like this meditation kind of stuff, even though it's very holy, and Shlomo's right that it'd probably be good for me to get out a little bit into the midbar and just do some avodas Hashem. But nevertheless, I think my personality, the way I focus, is with intense level of action and noise.
Right.
Do you understand? Relate with that?
Yeah.
I need like a heavy, intense concert or something intense going on, and then my mind starts to focus. But just to have pure quietness. In the desert, then I just get overwhelmed by all the noises that I'm not hearing.
Right. Interesting.
I don't know. That's why I always have noise going on in my ears, because if I don't have that, then my head's in places I don't want to be. I was listening to a shir, Shmuel Diamond, actually, the one who's helping us with the Tanya, and Mr. Shema gets Tanya in a second, and he was saying this whole idea that he doesn't have problems so much anymore with having stray thoughts, and he said hopefully he's not being arrogant speaking that way. I said I'm having the other way around. I'm having endless stray thoughts, and my vote is how to live with that way.
Right.
I think that's more common what I was saying, because he says he goes to the bathroom, his sign is not to think in Torah. I'm like, what? I go to the bathroom, that's not my problem. I remember once when Morgenstern said, and I actually heard this from him. I was in the shir that moment, and I used to go past the shul all the time, and he had a small shul on Yosef Cairo, not the bigger one he has now. And it was just a poor mention, that he wasn't so Mefasim, Simai wasn't Mefasim, all these people weren't Mefasim, Biederman wasn't Mefasim, all these Mashbiim. And I went past with Morgenstern shul, and he was sitting there, and the way he sits, he leans back in the chair, with the orange juice on his beard, kind of thing. It was very relaxed energy. And he was talking about this Indian of going to the bathroom, and one of his students was asking him about it as well. It was also a holy year. So he said that it's better actually to think about Torah b'diavad or something connected to Ruchnius than to think Machshava Zoros. So he was giving a heta to the people there, think about anything other than Machshava Zoros. That was the heta. Being realistic with the generation.
Right.
It's you've got to distract yourself with something. Anyway.
All right.
Did you ever hear that Shai's Tab joke?
Which one?
He brought it from that famous Jewish comedian, Woody Allen. Woody Allen said, God is a distraction. Which is, think about, it's quite a profound concept. But he was being silly. But the way we can understand it is we have to
distract ourselves with God.
Yeah, and we're distracted, basically.
Yeah.
So we have to somehow focus. And that's part of this time of year, Elul, Kisavo. There's a lot going on in the Parsha, a lot going on in our life, a lot going on in this generation, and we have to somehow, with all our strength, focus. So let's do it. Chapter 25, Tanya.
I think we ended off, no? Now we're starting the new chapter?
We already started it. So I'll catch you up. It's not too hard. We'll just go back a second. So let's go from 26th of Shvat in underneath. So we're talking about back and forth about this concept of Avodah Zorah, and you want to do Teshuva after the fact.
Right.
So remember, Hashem's going to help you do Teshuva if you really want to do Teshuva. He's going to help you to do Teshuva, but not if you know that I'll just play the system, and then I'll do Teshuva.
Right.
That doesn't work. Yeah.
Right.
Teshuva is done by you, not by God or anybody else. Just you.
Yeah, but the point here is Tanya's saying that, and it's famous from Chazal, that you get heavenly help.
Right.
Meaning, the way I explained it last time we learned, if anything you were here on Sunday, I was giving all these stories of examples where Hashem kept sending me shlichim.
Right. Yeah.
He keeps sending you people to help you do tshuva.
I had when I was in Tzfat. We started going to the mikvah, And
Arizal mikvah.
The Arizal mikvah.
Yeah.
And right before we went in,
So
this
many
Breslov
years,
guy told us, he's like, "Oh, don't go in there. There's some crazy like kushi there who's just like, like I
In
don't
Israel,
know."
that's like real slang. What you just said.
Oh yeah. and
My son said to me, "It's better to say the N word." To
Oh,
them
really?
than call them that. Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm sorry. Anyway, so he's like, he's just. I mean, the guy was not. He was not well. And so I walk in there. He's like, he's screaming, he's yelling. He's like, I don't know what was wrong. He was. I think he was a ger. I didn't realize at the time.
That doesn't mean he has to be crazy.
No, I'm saying, I'll tell you why, because I didn't realize he wasn't speaking English. And then suddenly he comes and starts yelling at me. Like he gets
you
into
went
my
in
face.
anyway. You didn't listen
we
to
went
the
in. We
best
figured
of-
we'll
deal with the dude.
No, we figured like
Nice
we just
American.
ignore him, do our own thing,
Yeah.
And he came up, I don't know, to me for some reason.
Is he not
and
dressed
started-
properly?
I don't remember. He was like half dressed. And he came up to me, was covered in tattoos. He had a huge cross tattoo even.
Oh wow.
He comes up to me, like runs up to me, and he starts shouting at me, like, "You want to go? You want to go? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at?" Like yelling at me. He's like foaming in his mouth.
He just been to the mikveh.
Yeah, he just
So
been
what
to
did the mikveh do for
shouting.
this
I
guy?
don't know. No, he was unwell. Like I think he was either on drugs or just had like some sort of mental psychosis.
Wow.
Shouting at me.
Just what you don't want to
screaming.
experience in Arizona.
It was pretty scary.
It's like a shin daled in the mikveh.
Yeah, long story short is like we saw him an hour later. We were in Tzfat later, like walking around, went to go to the restaurant, and he's just completely out on the floor, covered in blood, and the cops tasered him or something because he was harassing people.
Wow.
But anyways, what I felt at the time was
At least he had a mikveh before.
But I felt like he was being mamtakim dinim on me. I felt like he probably, because I was with a few other people, I was with 4 other people.
And he only came to
He
you.
only came to me. I mamish felt like, I really believe that he saw certain dinim surrounding me. And sometimes the only way to remove it is like just by, he scared the daylights out of me.
So it's interesting you brought this up because we're
So
learning.
Hashem is, that's what I'm saying, Hashem helps
Hashem
us
helps
do
you.
tshuva.
And there's different ways, and that's not such a nice way. But the idea when you're learning Tanya, Tanya's Eitan. Apparently, it's some sort of tikkun of some demonic force,
Yeah,
but it's with strength.
yeah.
It's a ruchnius power to cancel out those kind of demonic
Right.
forces, and it could be like we said when we were learning previously that the ruach shtus took over him, like it took over. Even in the Arizal mikveh, a holy place like that,
For sure.
there's a ruach shtus. The point is that we're in a generation where the Yitzhak is everywhere. You can't really
But
escape.
I feel I'm like 1,000% certain that he probably didn't realize it, but he was
Fixing up the judgment.
fixing up some dinim on me.
Yeah, that's a positive way of looking at any negative. Like when I have challenges with shalom bias, I always think I need the only way I can really cope often is just to think like I need this muscle, like I need this this heavy moment I'm going through. Yeah,
Right,
because
yeah.
sometimes it gets a bit of that.
Yeah.
And like no one else is going to do it. Like
Right, exactly.
actually, truth was yesterday. It was a hard moment. I phoned my dad, my mum actually, and I was speaking to my mum, and then my mum was having a whole thing about my kids going to Uman during a war. Like she doesn't understand. Like my boys are going to Uman Rosh Hashanah. To the 2 boys in the middle, not the oldest. He's in the army. He's going to Gaza next week, and we should dedicate learning to Shmira, Baruch MASHA, and I appreciate what your tefillas. And then the youngest one, he's here with us in Shul. But the middle ones are going to Uman. So my mother's very scared. Baruch Hashem, they have tickets to Poland. So Moldova's closing, so they're going to be able to get there. Baruch Hashem, because Moldova is closing. So Baruch Hashem, they already had the right place to go to. They're going to go to the Gents, and they're going to Uman. Anyway, we were very worried about it. But personally, like I'm also mamin, if they're going with thousands and thousands of breast lovers, it'll be okay. But my mother doesn't get it. She just hears the news. Anyway, so my mother's after like trying to get off the phone because that's what she does. She doesn't want to get into stuff. So she's like, "Oh, do you want to speak to your father?" I said, "Yeah." And I hear him in the background saying, "No." I'm like, Dad, I haven't spoken to you for that while. Like you haven't seen us, or you haven't been in Israel for almost 2 years. You know, like. He doesn't want to speak to me. I'm like, I felt like a bit, Sibrochen.
Right.
And anyway, he then calls me back a few times, and I didn't. First time I missed the call, and the second time I got the phone, and it sounded like he felt bad a little bit. So in those situations, like, parents also can be tools to like make us work on ourselves. In the end, I got him to agree that he'll come visit some point.
Right.
We're like. really what
Children are also.
children also, they're all tools. I remember once one rabbi coming up, and this rabbi had such good midah, such an edel guy, and he came up to the Rav of Osameach, Rav Samet, he's a Sadik Mashkiach, and he himself is a Rav, this Rav, he's a posek. But he came up to Rav Samet, who's a much bigger Rav in my opinion. He's one of the Siddiqim of our generation, so people just don't know about him. He doesn't want to be known. So he came up to this Rav Samet and asked him, said, look, I'm going through such now. I know I happen to be sitting there. I shouldn't probably listen to him, but I listened to him. So I wanted to hear what this was going to say to already a Rav. Was he going to say to a Rav about how's he going to advise him? And he was coming to him saying, my children are driving me mad. And I've been at this Rav's house. It was like 20-something years ago. They're probably all older now, married off. But I was at this, and I've seen that the kids were really, this gentle, put together person were really had him, they were like able to trigger him and do things that no one else could. No one, his wife, nobody could trigger him like this. And his kids knew exactly how to put. And he was asking the Rav, like, what do I do about it? So the Rav said, no, this is what they're for. They're here to help you grow. They're able to touch all your buttons for a good. It's from Hashem.
It's all from Hashem.
So it's okay. You don't have to change that. You just have to go with it.
Yeah.
And that's often like the voter, like accepting the reality in front of you. And once you accept it, then you have the strength to deal with it. It's sort of his butlers. And that's part of what we're saying here. But here the other way around is now you did a sin and you say, but it's okay, I'll just do tshuva. What does it say? I must speak and they're going to help you. Hashem's not going to help you in that sin. Hashem does not aid a sinner who's doing it with trying to use the system. You have to.
I mean, you can still do teshuva. It's just not going to be like
with all the help.
The one like the teshuva that I got in the mikveh. The guy who was almost.
You don't really want that.
Okay, I felt like I was able to handle it. Also, it was scary, but I wasn't like traumatized.
Well, Baruch Hashem, you actually saw what happened to him later. That's also interesting. That shows, but here he says, and I'm sure you've experienced this, there's nothing that can stand in the way of Teushua.
Right.
That's about Tanya says on. So in the end of the day, if you have a rotzen, no matter what the system is spiritually down here, if you have a rotzen for Teushua, you will be zoka to Teushua.
Right.
And I've seen that in my own life. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about YITZCHAK if it wasn't for this concept.
Right.
There's nothing that can stand in the way of Teushua.
It's like as if you have a rotzen to do teshuva, Hashem almost like makes you do teshuva. Sometimes He helps us. I mean, He always helps us. Many times we're doing it through our own, teshuva, like where we're actively doing it. But then there's probably a wonder. There's people who are like wanting to do teshuva, but they're just not doing the actions. And Hashem brings the tshuva to them, and it's. I
mean, how many times have you heard people suddenly have these wild moments of hashgacha pratis, of divine providence, and they come up to you? I'm sure I've experienced
it happens all the time,
and people are very overwhelmed. They don't know what to do about it, and they don't feel like they had the kalim to cope with the fact that Hashem's sort of taking over their life. Which is what I experienced when I first did tshuva. Hashem literally took over my life. I had all these earrings, my ears went all septic, so they all popped out. And he was taking over. Every time I ate treif, I got ill. It's like I couldn't go against Hashem anymore.
Right.
It was like he was taking over me.
Yeah.
And that's always generally been the reality. Like even in marriage, more subtle things. When you try, there's all this halachas of nida, and so you start thinking, oh, this system seems a bit overwhelming. Like taras mishpacha, it's not easy. And then you start thinking maybe you can do a little bit of this, or that. And Hashem shows you again and again through the marriage that you have to behave yourself. There's no way around it.
Yeah, there was a period of time I was completely unreligious, just don't say yet. Eating non-kosher, just the word, everything. And then I remember I met with Rabbi. It was a pretty long period. It was a nice year and a half.
Wow.
I met with Rabbi Simon Jacobson.
Oh wow!
By chance. It wasn't. There's a lot of background, but I met with him. I went to his house.
Where am I going?
We were
Where's he live? Manhattan or something?
He lives in Crown Heights.
Crown Heights.
And we sat down and just schmoozed, and I didn't meet with him for to be makar of myself. I just met with him. There were certain inyanim I had to take care of, and I was like, I'm not talking. I'll talk to him. He's the only guy I can deal with.
He's very down to earth.
And he just turned the tables on me. I mean, it was all Hashem talking through him, but it was I left and I was just
every few months.
The world is rocked, and I'm not and again, I've been. It wasn't like I was like a book, I was suddenly I was like. It was like it was a pretty insane experience. You know, it was just, and it wasn't even what he said. He didn't say anything that was like. It was just, I left with this feeling of like connection, like
Yeah, I think that's an akuda. What we're looking for is connection. We're all looking for connection. Like, so that is kashrus, that point, that is what tshuva. Hey, you know, when I first went to Chabad all those years ago, the first thing the Chabad shliach said to me, tshuva is all it is 180.
Right.
We think we have to go around the whole world. Imagine you're standing on the North Pole. We think we have to do this whole thing 360 to change our life. Actually, all it is turning around and facing yourself. That's all it is. It's not such a massive change. Right. It's actually just looking inwards. It's a very subtle thing. It's not this giant transformation, like, you know, the whole chitzonius and the lavush and how you look and moving here and doing this and doing that. It could be very right in front of you, and you just have to just tune into it. Right. And I think Elul, there's definitely an extra sata d'shmaya of tshuva in the air. Like we have the shofars, we have the David Hashem for Sfarim and Slichas. There's a lot of energy right now of tshuva. Like everyone's talking about it. Every time you talk to someone, they're talking about tshuva. All the droshes, everything's about tshuva. So there's something in the air this time of year. And when I first came to Shiva, it was Elul. And I really was happy that was the first time I ever walked into a Shiva like in Israel to learn like full time. It was in Elul. I know that's the time when yeshivas begin, but it's like you're tuning in not just to the yeshiva, tuning into that light of tshuva, which is what do we want? Connection. I didn't come to Israel, as I always said back then, to become a black hat or become religious or all this stuff. That wasn't what drew me here. It was the connection to Hashem, a connection to myself, connection to true people. That's what I was searching for. It wasn't the religious culture, right? You know, which is probably makes sense now living in a frat and not in like Bradyville, because I don't want all that like being the priority. Yeah. I don't want, like, when you talk to some of my old friends who still live in those places, they always say shidduchim. Right, like, there's like a lot of chitzonis, unfortunately. Yeah, shidduchim, like something that's guiding their life, their Indian fish. I don't want my children to have shidduchim because they check the boxes. Yeah, and the culture. All
right, I have to run. My wife has a doctor's appointment.
Amazing. So we'll start here next time.
Let's do it tomorrow.
That's what we're going to start. Strengthening ourselves with determination of heart to do tshuva. Be'emes.
All right, how's BORUCH YITZCHAK ben MASHA?
Yeah, he's right now. They're giving him a little bit of a holiday, a chofish. Yeah, he's in Yerushalayim. He's staying at the Grand Court Hotel. Wow. And they've taken them on trips. They had a Slichas concert.
Are they giving them therapy? Or that's
also, they've been doing therapy the last few weeks. Real therapy. They took him to kibbutz where there's a special therapist there.
That's not true. Everyone's telling me they're not doing anything.
No, the last few weeks they've realized they have to, because there's some of the soldiers that are not fitting to be in going back to Gaza. Or not anything. So they need to work out who what. For the sake of just being an effective army, it's taken a toll, and they're tired from it. And this way they're giving them some chizuk right now. They took them to a mayan yesterday. I got videos of them all swimming and having fun, and they're giving them extra pampering because their bodies are broken also. I mean, my son, he went to the dentist, the army dentist, and he's got loads of fillings because they haven't had nutrition and proper hygiene. So they're going to have to, they try, but they're going to have to, it's on the army. They're going to have to make sure he gets fillings. And, it really affects them as people. And he's trying right now, my son's trying to get back into the best shape. He's trying to get his body in a balance. So he's working hard on how he's eating and drinking and smoking. He's trying to get everything back to a bit more balance. When he came back Shabbos, he went for a jog a lot. He was doing a lot of exercise. I got a crazy video of him boxing.
When I saw that, I was like, oh God, thank God he's on my team.
Be blessed.